time that we had, had voted on, that none of that's been missing. I just wanna make sure that
Right.
we understand that. So we're talking about some technicalities here, but we're not really talking about something that was vitally missed.
Not in these.
So I hadn't seen anything missed.
Not in these minutes,
Okay.
but we will discuss the other ones in another place.
Also, I believe that Tom's, he said he had a petition that he was circulating for a recall election. Is that correct, Tom? Not resignation as mayor.
correct.
So that needs to be corrected.
Oh, did he say recall? He said recall?
I stated recall.
I'll go back through that. I'll go back through and listen
That's
to that
fine.
one.
Well, I would suggest that any minutes by any committee that are taken, that the people who are present at the meeting would be at least listed, instead of just bullet points of what they discussed. And a number of times, JJ, on your financial things, reports, I haven't seen where names have been listed.
I think they're there, but if they're
Okay.
not, I will definitely correct them. But I believe in every set of minutes I have done, I've listed who was present at the meeting. But I will go back and pull all of them.
Okay, so I guess we need to have a motion to change those minutes.
I think so. It sounds like it. Pretty substantial change on the motion that was made.
Yeah, and I'll give this,
Okay. So we're making a motion, correct?
Make a motion to amend the minutes from the meeting of October 16th.
second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Carty,
This is to make the change, this is not to approve them, right?
No, it's
Amendment.
just an amendment.
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay, then the closed session minutes of October the 16th.
I make a motion to, table those until we go to closed session, please.
I'll second it.
Is there a reason for that?
Yes. We can discuss it in closed session minutes.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Carty,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay. Approval of reports and bills.
So moved.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Carty,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay. Presentation of petitions, letters, and other communications. We did have a lease agreement that Mr. Dar was checking out, and he has to sign it. And apparently, it was never voted on during the meeting, and so it was I believe in the committee meeting, but never in the city council meeting, and so it's not in the minutes. So it's not in the minutes. It basically didn't happen. So anyway, we'll have to have a motion to enter into this agreement. Anything you want to say about that?
Charlie, you want to give them just a summary of what it's a lease for fire equipment, and Charlie can tell you exactly what.
That's correct. During the budget meetings, we asked for $82,000 worth of self-contained breathing apparatus and its usage. And therefore, I had met with the company, Sentinel Emergency Solutions out of Arnold, Missouri, who said that at this time that you could lease those units. And so the $82,000 that was to be borrowed from this lending institution was decided upon a down payment on option 2 of $16,400 this year, and then payments for 3 years of $26,363.89. And upon that municipal information form on October the 6th, they had sent me a form that needed to be signed by the mayor to proceed with this. And so Draw all the information up. Draw the information up to, Mayor McGraw. And he signed the information agreement on September the 25th, stating that the city was, wanting to buy 10 SCBA's, from this company for $82,000. So the information was sent to the company, and then the lady sent back the information that was sent to the city hall, whereas the agreement had to have 3 different signers from the city and the attorney's signature. And that being Mike McGraw, signer 1, Pat Farrell, signer 2, the treasurer, and signer 3 is Tequila Moulton, city clerk. So what we're needing to do is this documentation instructions for all the different ones that have to sign off on this. It tells equipment lease purchase agreement, Mike McGraw and Pat Farrell signs off on it. Exhibit A, the equipment decision, description, payment schedule, the mayor signs. Exhibit C, the city clerk signs, and it goes on and on and on until all these forms, there's 12 of them, that have to be signed before we can get our equipment. So, this is what the form is for. It has to be filled out for even the tax purposes. So, this is the form, the clerks had it, and this was sent to Mayor McGraw on the start. And the lady called and said she talked to the mayor and he referred her to me. So that's where we stand at this point.
It is, and it requires that I give an opinion that it was properly approved by the city council, which is why I brought it here before you all tonight to have approval of it in a formal manner in a meeting. So I've reviewed the lease. It looks like a standard municipal lease form that I've we've worked with these several times before with different items. It has an annual appropriation clause in it, which means that you have to appropriate funds each year to pay for the lease payments. And if you should fail to appropriate those funds, then there's no requirement. It's a non-appropriation, so it allows the city to come out of the agreement, which brings that into not a debt obligation. So it's not a debt obligation of the city. Therefore, it's a common lease transaction. There are consequences to not appropriating the funds, so it's something that you do not want to do, but it does have that provision in it that draws it out of the debt obligation requirements. So it's as far as legal form goes, I would approve the legal form of it.
So we need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the lease with, I may need to make this motion first. In the budget, we have it budgeted for 3 years, a 3-year lease. The first year, we had budgeted $16,400. Is that in here? I'm looking on page.
First, it's in the second.
Okay. And then I make a motion to approve the lease as written.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Abstain.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay. Then under unfinished business, having unfinished business?
Excuse me, Mayor, can I speak now? Can I?
Sure.
Is it on the playground equipment? Yes? Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I do wanna give an update for the playground equipment. We do have, someone that's willing to put the playground equipment, that they did it for Hayside City Park. They're willing to do it again for our parks, thankfully, for the same amount, which is $500, which would be $1,000 for both parks. $500 for French, $500 for City. Concrete would probably cost about $100, so we're looking around $1,100 to do both playground parks. So I just wanted to give that update. I'm not sure what else I'm needing to do. I'm sure you all reviewed what I gave you last week or last time we came or met. Do you have any questions about it? Concerns? So now what's the next step?
Are you asking for money?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just say it.
1100. I said 11,000.
Just say it.
Let me say that again.
Does it need to go to the park board for them to
Yes,
see if they
we
need?
could.
I mean, cause y'all have equipment, you know, budget, do you wanna take it
Yeah,
to the
we
park
got
board
to,
and see?
I have to, I'm getting quotes from landscapers, about what area you have to, so much, on a swing set, it's gotta be 12 to 14 inches deep of mulch, for insurance purposes, okay? On a merry-go-round and, the seesaw, it's different, depths of mulch, I'm getting quotes on that, and how big of an area you have to have around it, landscape.
Can we continue to?
I would love to go to him.
Okay.
So I'll come to you, so whenever we've been talking anyway, so we've been conversating back and forth. And we did have a question about ADA, having to try to get some ADA equipment there. It's gonna go over our budget. We wanted to do it, so I haven't told anybody this, and I'm not asking for no pats on the back or anything like that, but I've been applying for grants, so.
Great.
Listen, I'm not crossing my fingers, but I'm praying. And one grant that I applied for has nothing to do with playground equipment, but it's America Walks. It was a $1,500 grant, and I'm hoping that the city would like to do the sidewalk. You know how you do do half, 50-50? So hopefully the city, I'll come back. I'll be back. Hopefully we'll get it approved. But yeah, I'll be back. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Under reports, the mayor's report. I wasn't able to get Mr. Rosen today. I've tried about 3 times. Our economic team, as you're aware, the DRA did grant $25,000 for the Exchange Building, and I'd like Councilor Dorr to write some kind of a contract between the city and the Arts Council regarding that building. And I think earlier, like last year, we kind of outlined the things that we thought were important that would be in there. And but we can't do really anything until they send a letter saying, okay, you can do something. So.
I think I've got a lease that's,
Okay.
I've got a lease that's
All righty.
pretty well prepared for it.
Liberty Utilities, as I've mentioned before, they're going to have, or they applied for a $9.51 a month rate increase every single month. And I will attend that public hearing in opposition of that. And certainly after they add the fees and tax, it'll be over $10 every single month for every single customer. Brantley Lane, there are going to be no changes to the Brantley Lane. It's going to stay like it is right now. And so anyway, the access to the property in the rear will have to be negotiated a different way. The brownfields, Mr. Reeves is continuing to work on that. There is a tree on Highland between 8th Street and 7th Street, and it's rotten in the bottom, and it's leaning. And it was pointed out to me by the person who lives in the house, and I looked at it, and then I asked Belton McWilliams to go look, and he did, and he gave us a price of $1,475. I did ask 2 other contractors, and they said basically they were not interested in doing it. So we only have one bid, and like I said, the tree's leaning some, and it's rotting in the bottom. So I'm asking for you to appropriate the $1,475 to remove this tree. It's big. Do you have anything to say?
It's about 80, 90 foot tall. The whole entire bottom is rotted out in the center of it. It's probably waiting for a big windstorm, and we'll probably end up coming down. So I just got called to go look at it and give my opinion, and that's what I come up with. It's a matter of time before the tree comes down.
You say it's between 7th and 8th on Highland?
Pardon me?
Did you say it was between 7th and 8th on Highland?
It's between 7th and 8th on Highland, yes, on the west side.
That's the one place.
It's big. It's even growing over the curb. It's so big. The roots. It's old.
This
And-
tree is on the city right away, so.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're
It's
interested.
almost on the street, it's got the concrete busted up around it, and
So I'm looking for a motion for $1,475 to get rid of this tree.
Motion,
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Renberry.
yes.
Okay, the next thing on the list is a Carnell property and a public hearing. So what you did?
Well, it was a hearing.
Hearing,
It was-
excuse
it
me.
was so we held a hearing, and there has been an order that has been issued to demolish the property, or the building. There's a 30-day period within which an appeal could presumably be taken from that, so our ordinance provides that order is stayed for that period of 30 days. So as soon as that period is up, then the city can proceed with the removal of the.
It's been a while, but it's coming. The Missouri Department of Economic Development on the Marler project, they are, today, we got papers today, the last papers to sign to send to them to go ahead and release the funds. And the city has already deposited their part of the funds in the account. And this is a non-interest bearing account. And so the money will be appropriated out of that account as we get bills from, Mitzi and John Chittenden. Okay, the next thing is an appointment. Jessica Rose to the Park Board to fill the unexpired term of Robert Jones. And so I'd like to have you approve that appointment for Jessica Rose. Need
Make a motion to approve that appointment.
Josh, you second it?
Okay. Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Renberry.
Okay, the next thing is Republic Services. They will work this Friday, and but the city hall will be closed. And we're taking Veterans Day Friday, and since it's on Saturday. The roll-off at the maintenance shed continues to be very successful. And I remind people to put their totes, their cans with the wheels facing towards the house. Industrial Drive. If you drive down Industrial Drive, you'll notice some orange tape that's around 5 poles, and that's where 5 LED lights are going to be placed on Industrial Drive, which has never had a light on it. So they're going to be 5 down there without charge. Moreland Drive. We had talked about this, about having an engineering study, but there never was a motion or anything to do it. And so I'm asking now, do we want to make a motion
Yes.
to have the engineering study by Waters and Associates for Moreland Drive?
Yeah. Motion to have Water and Associates do an engineering study for Moreland Drive project.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers,
No.
Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
What, can I ask a question, is it too late?
If the chair allows it.
Go ahead,
What's the study for what purpose?
Redoing.
redoing the street.
Okay. Did we not already approve paving that street?
It's approved, we just have to have a study to put it back, to have it actually drawn out, because they're gonna have to take it out, put new curves back in, so it's gonna have to be engineered. It's not gonna just be resurfacing, it's gonna have to be completely redone, so we have to have a study done on it.
Yes.
If I might,
Go ahead.
it is an agreement for the engineer services for Moreland Drive.
Right.
Partee,
Yes.
Renberry.
Yes.
That street's how old,
There's a,
has it ever been redone that we know of?
that's what I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing is the Marlar sidewalks, and Mrs. Dale is working on a sidewalk grant, and I think, I can't recall exactly what she said, but she's working with this with MoDOT. The rec center roof, we got no bids. Now what?
I guess you have to keep looking for bids, 'cause otherwise you're not gonna get it done.
Huh, well,
Who all have we solicited?
I think that there's not a scope of work on there, or what do you, that's what's concerning them.
Mhm.
So they don't wanna be flying blind.
Okay. Well,
So can you address that?
Well, I guess if you want something more than what's on there, you'd have to hire someone to give you a scope of work for what needs to be repaired on it. Probably an engineering report for the roof, or
Wow.
architectural, yeah. Well, unless you can draw up the scope of work,
Not me.
I can't.
I got it. Okay. We're gonna take, I guess we're gonna take that under advisement. We gotta get the roof fixed somehow.
Well, so what do we need to do?
What we need to do? Well, you gotta have a bid.
Well,
You've got it.
Well, I'll tell you what the scope of work was in the project. There was a report that was performed by the engineering company that was engaged by the insurance company. And they listed all the deficiencies and areas that needed to be repaired in the report. And the contract that was in the bid package referred to that and asked for any bidders to prepare proposals for the repair of the roof based upon those deficiencies. So it was asking for a request for proposals plus the bid on the dollar amount. And that's the only way I knew how to do it without having an engineer involved in the process, and so.
It's kind of unrealistic.
Did
Don't you?
anybody pick up the bid package?
We emailed them.
Okay, how many were sent?
3.
And they didn't return them?
So-
Did we contact those 3 that picked them up and ask them,
Sure.
what their concerns
Yes.
were with the bid
Well,
package?
Well, the first one I called, that's what they said. They're scared about the scope of work because it doesn't tell you exactly what to do. And they want somebody to tell them what to do.
Well, that's what I'm confused on. You said that the engineer from the insurance company said list it, so was it not listed? So
Listed the
deficiencies would
It
be
listed
the
the-
repair.
Yeah, it
right?
listed what needed to be repaired, it did. And the bid package also said that the individual roofing companies should come and inspect the roof to determine what it needed, in addition to looking at those specific items that were included in the engineer's report, so. That's where we stand, I guess.
This is an insurance claim, right?
So somebody.
Well, in large measure, it's an insurance claim. A lot of the damage up there was determined by the insurance company to preceded the storms that, I mean, there was pretty strong evidence that a lot of that damage had been there a long time.
Could well, I guess the insurance company wouldn't develop a more specific scope of work
No, I
for us.
don't think
No.
so.
I think we need to seek out a
Engineer.
engineer.
But I'll be glad to call the 3 people that got the email, the bid packs, and there's another one I'll call also.
Do you wanna do that before we do an engineer?
Pardon me?
Do you wanna do that before we try to get an engineer?
Well, you really can't do anything on this because we don't have a bid. I mean,
But we need
We're
a
not
scope
gonna
of
get a
work
bid.
though. If they need a scope of
Well-
work, you're gonna need an engineer, so.
Okay.
An engineer or not?
yeah, I guess. What do you think?
What would you like to do?
But if they've already told you they're.
Well,
not gonna bid on it-
nobody's been up there to really look at it. But they have pictures and stuff like that. And I think that when you see how much money we got paid, and I think, well, it's going to cost a whole bunch more than that. Remember, we got a bid on repairing the entire thing, and it was $93,000. 96. A lot. But that's fixing all the old damage and everything.
Okay, so do you want an engineer? Do you want us to make a motion to, seek an engineer?
Sure, why not?
And the way I read the report, I mean, it didn't look like it'd do much good to repair any of the new damage without repairing the old
No.
damage. I mean, just from a practical standpoint.
Did they get a copy of that? Did y'all get a copy of the engineering report and all that with the pictures and everything?
No.
We didn't have an engineering report, we had an insurance report.
Okay, well, I mean, from the people, the engineer that actually went up there and checked it all out, you know. What was it called, Core or something?
Core adjusting.
Yeah, core adjusting,
And
yeah.
I think they engaged a separate
Can we not
engineering.
use that?
That's what
Okay.
I'm confused on.
All
Why
right.
not use what
So
they
are
did?
we going,
That's
are we
right.
gonna seek?
That's what I put in the bid packet.
Ah,
Apparently it wasn't good enough.
But we,
good enough.
but cost effectively, we might be better off just to say, how much you come up here and fix this for? You know, but
Well, I think that's basically what the bid packet was asking for.
it was, but nobody bid. We'll try to figure it out. But anyway, we did not get any bids.
I think you need to get somebody who can develop a scope of work.
I make a motion to seek out an engineer that can give us a scope of work to
Okay,
repair and fix the roof at the rec center.
okay.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing I talked about was land costs, and that's the 12 lots that are between 3rd and 2nd Street, between Walker and Bushy. And I was looking for someone to recommend how much we ought to charge per lot. Because when someone calls you and says, hey, I'm interested in putting in a business, they don't want to wait 2 weeks and come around, and they would like to know what the price is, so that, you know, strike while the iron's hot. So, does anybody have an idea what they think that we ought to charge for those lots? I mean, they've been sitting there 20-something years, and all we do is mow 'em.
Mayor, you had suggested $1,000 per
I did,
lot.
I did.
Yeah, and that's extremely, I think that's low
Okay.
for the
So
area
you
that
wanna,
they're
you
looking
think,
for.
what would you
Maybe
suggest?
25
2,500?
per lot.
Do we have an appraisal on what the lots are worth?
Well, it's probably kind of like willing buyer, willing seller, actually. I mean, you know.
What do you mean? Could you explain that?
Willing buyer, willing seller, it's like selling your house. How much will somebody give for it?
I do believe the last,
You think 2,500 a lot, per lot is too high, too low, or what?
I'm not an appraiser.
Pardon me?
I'm not an
Me either.
appraiser.
Me
But I
either.
do believe the last property that we did sell, we did have appraised, or got an evaluation done on it, and the last property that we looked at.
Okay, do we want, you want to have this appraised?
Yes.
Okay.
If
All right.
if we're interested.
All right. Anyway. Way to go. All right, so someone make a motion to that, and then we'll do
Make
it.
a motion to get property that, the 12 lots on Walker and Bushy, making a motion to get those appraised.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay, next thing, exit 6 at I-155, the South Ward. The city did receive a contract from MoDOT to be signed, and I'd like to be authorized to sign that contract to maintain and keep that up. And Riggs did a mowing bid for $800, and Councilperson Carty tabled I guess he tabled a motion. And so it'd be up to you to take that off the table for next year.
Not at this time.
Pardon me?
Not at this time.
Okay. So, and so what about signing the contract with
What does the contract with MoDOT say? What's the contract for?
it's a contract for, just like all these other towns have, that say, you know, the city of Haytire, the city of Caruthersville is maintaining this area, and so we're going to be maintaining it.
But if we
You
sign
know,
that
and if we-
contract, we don't have the money, and we don't have the money to pay
Well-
for that, then
Well, I forgot how many mowings it would take, but, it
it's
was,
12 to 14.
okay, 14. And how much money did we collect when we sold that land out there at the industrial
That's
park?
not the only thing that comes out of that account either.
What now?
It's not the only thing that comes out of that account either.
Okay,
There's other things that
so
come out of that.
I know, so do we wanna let it grow back up?
Okay, why is it that we're expected to keep it mowed? Is MoDOT
Be-
not gonna mow it at all anymore?
Next to correct.
Okay.
Rarely.
What do you mean next to correct? Are they gonna mow
Yes.
it once,
Well-
twice, 3 times, never? What are they gonna do?
Not often,
Okay, well, that's not a good enough answer.
that's all you can get.
Well, the last time we talked about this, we said, well, let's find out how many times MoDOT's going to mow it.
You can't tell that.
They're not
Okay.
interested in cost sharing.
Okay.
That won't work.
I think more importantly than us mowing
I think we need to find
exit
some
6 and keeping it mowed and paying $800 every 14 times a year, we should look at putting lights, or talking to MoDOT about putting lights on the exit on Highway U that you can't see. And
Oh, you mean down
someone
there
could hurt.
on,
No, it's not in the city limits,
on-
but it
right.
still needs to be taken care of because it is an entrance to the city. It needs lights on it, so we should talk to MoDOT about that, instead of talking about mowing their.
What do you think
property
about
for
that? sir?
That's what I think it'd be
It's
fine.
out of the property.
What's that?
What do you think about that?
them. I mean, we don't have to pay for it, but
Yeah,
it's,
there's-
you need to
I don't
maybe
think
have
it's
a
good
discussion,
talk.
this is what we do as a city leadership, we have a discussion with somebody and get something done.
I don't see any problem with discussing it with them.
The money that we have collected for the sale of the property out on Industrial Drive, has that money been deposited?
Yes.
Okay, where was it deposited?
Community, development. Revitalization.
Community revitalization?
No, it was
Okay,
economic development, I'm sorry.
okay, okay. Can you tell me about when it was deposited? I mean, you don't have to give me the exact date, okay, was it September, October?
Would have been either the last of September or
Okay.
first October.
And just roughly, how much was that?
It's around 22,000.
Okay. This year, the Economic Development Fund will run in the hole $22,814. So that money will break us even in economic development. And then next year, these things that we do out of economic development, like the chamber and advertising and the utilities and the telephone and all that we're paying for, whatever, insurance, we're gonna have to figure, that's roughly $41,000 a year. And we have no revenue, nothing coming into that account, except for a couple $1,000s of crops. So, to say that we're gonna take the money that we got off that property and pay to mow that area is concerning when we were sitting here looking at a deficit already in that account. So I just wanted to point that out.
Point well taken. But
We're looking
it-
at a $22,000 deficit at the end of this year
Okay.
in the economic development account. That was before the deposit for the property that you're saying that's roughly 22.
Yeah,
So,
it might be closer to 25.
Yeah, it is closer.
so,
24.
Have we gotten anywhere on the hotel paying their taxes?
Not at
'Cause
all.
that would
It's
be-
hard to
that could
find
be
out.
some money
They have
to do.
new owners now.
They've had new owners every month for the past year.
Yeah, they got new
That
owners.
could be money we could use if we could get that started coming in.
Yeah, it's been hard to track down who, the ownership of that hotel.
But at this time, I'm not prepared to take it off the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing, Light Up Crowsville. As I've told you before, Ameren agreed to donate 10 LED to replace existing lights. And I did talk to Ameren, and we're going to start on French and England Park and replace all the burnout lights there first. And then we're going to continue with that until we get the two parks totally relit with all LEDs. And so I'll be sending them some locations around town, of which it would be nice if other people in town would write down a CV number near them, and you can call directly to Ameren and give them the CV number, and they will be glad to put up a light where they're burnt out. And if they're burnt out, we pay for them anyway, every month. And it's a whole lot cheaper for the LEDs. The price per month is a whole lot cheaper than it is for the sodium vapor or the halogen. Okay. Police. Police report.
Oh, I thought it said lease. I just want to inform that, I imagine y'all probably already know that the two escapees from Prince Scott County Jail that been captured in New Orleans were released from prison. They come from the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, the Louisiana State Police, and New Orleans Police. They took one into custody Saturday morning, and the other one into custody at 7 o'clock this morning. Found out that they, once they escaped, they went to Amarillo, Arkansas, and they stole a truck. And they made their way to New Orleans that way. We got a couple of Scott County deputies and a highway patrolman went down. They're on their way back now, but they'll transport those two subjects back to Scott County Jail in the next few days. Speaking of the hotel, we had a robbery yesterday morning around, what time was it, Chris? About 1 something. About close to 11 or 12. Armed robbery, guy went in with a mask on, but today we got both the suspects in the custody about 1:30 today.
Did it?
That's it.
Okay. Fire.
We do have a fire committee report from the fire chief, call from October 22nd through November 6th. 10:22, there was a call to 701 Grand, there was a fire alarm sounding. On the same day, the Caruthersville Cotton Warehouse, there was a fire alarm sounding there. On the 26th, 1107 Laurent, there was a vehicle fire. On November 1st, there was a call to 704 West 12th for a gas leak. On the 3rd of this month was Highway 8 south of Route U was a trash fire. On the 4th, which was Saturday, with a call to 605 Ward, a fire alarm sounding there. The chief has also noted that a trend for the month of October was a safety meeting to discuss property lifting techniques, also pre-planning for the Caruthersville new school buildings. The firefighter and instructor Paul Shaw attended the Missouri Emergency Service Instructor Conference in Lake Ozarks, and he was there on November the 3rd. It's also noted that Tim Powell repaired the roof leaks in the bays 2 weeks ago, and Hubbard Lumber Company has spread sealant along the south wall of the bay of the water leak for water leaks. The wall in the south bay needs repainting due to those leaks. And this is the report coming from Chief Charlie Jones. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Street sanitation, etc.
We conducted a safety meeting on October 26th, done our day-to-day operations, picking up limbs and junk debris. We loaded, I believe it was 4 30-yard dumpsters, 2 at a time, and have them swapped out. We were running the tractor with a bush hog, and it swapped over to the side cutter until we started having problems with the tractor. So at this time, it is down. We was running the street sweeper until we blowed a hydraulic line on it. I believe both of these items could be fixed in-house. Assisted with the water tap at the, building site for the new Bank of Missouri. Had to have the back glass replaced in the, new little dump truck. It was, driving north on, South Ward, and, the driver, Bob, said that it just popped, the glass shattered. Then I need to jump over to some, the street and drainage work that's being done. First thing was the, engineering service agreement, which you done and approved. The second thing would be a change order to repair 20th Street. I believe the council done and said go ahead and have it done. I was just gonna have to report the amount that the budget would need amended out of, sewer extension. And with the, contractor and the engineering fee, it would be $20,740.
That's the total, or is that the amendment?
That would be the amendment to what we've already budgeted. This is repair the, sewer line breakage on, East 20th Street by East Haven. Yes, and I need that to be approved.
Motion.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
What's the total now of the project here?
The, $20,740 is what the budget needs to be amended to what we already have on the 19th and Brown, manhole out of sewer extension. It was $38,950 what we had budgeted. Change order number 2, the money's already been budgeted, but I need to get the change order approved, and this is to put the cross pipe on the east end of the drainage on, West 19th Street that they're working on now. And it's just, change order number 3, the amount was $3,350, but that's already been put in the budget.
Motion.
Just need to change order.
Did you say 3250?
3,350.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Duckworth,
Yes.
Bulletin,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Rittenberry.
Yes.
Terry, I got a question. The 20th Street, do you think that was budgeted under street improvements in the sales tax budget? Cause I don't see it in sewer extension.
20th Street was an add-on, was it gonna be a change order to the manhole
Okay,
glass.
okay. Okay, we'll get it straight.
That it fell in after the manhole fell in.
I'll get it in here.
Now this one is new. If y'all wanna proceed with it or not, this is the, a change order request, if approved by the council, for the drainage project that was budgeted. The amount budgeted was $115,000, and this is from 9th Street to Maple, from Maple to 7th Street to the stormwater lift station. And the amount, if we do the change order, is $91,050. If we put it out for bid, it'll be more than that.
Okay, is that under sales tax?
And this is under sales tax too, yes.
That's under the 700,000 that was budgeted for streets?
No, it will be under the,
It's under the drainage project.
Okay, yeah, we had $115,000.
$115,000 budgeted for that, yes.
No, but I'm saying,
And, with GNC already in town, if we do a change order to his contract and the council approves this, he can do it for $91,050.
Motion.
Second.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers, Duckworth,
Yes.
Littleton,
Yes.
Partee,
Yes.
Grinberry.
Yes.
Okay, airport, I had to ask Harold Hampton to go out and, put in a new timer for the exterior lights of the main hangar. He did do that, get that repaired, and repaired, one of the lights on the south end of the 8 hangars. Did get, notification from, the aircraft database system that we do have 12 based aircraft at our airport right now, and we will be entitled to the MPE funds.
Which is how much?
I don't know the dollar amount, I think it was normally around 150,000.
Annual?
Yes, as long as we can keep our based aircraft to 10 and above. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay, code enforcement?
Recently, 15 letters were sent. I'm working on 2 follow-ups, and if they don't abate the nuisance within the week, I'm gonna give another complaint to the police department. I had a court appearance on 10/26. There were 2 defendants that were supposed to appear. One defendant appeared and spoke with him with Lawrence, and since most of the nuisance was abated, Lawrence reduced the fine to $25 plus court costs. The other defendant did not show up, but Nauka told me that they did call the next day, and so they paid the whole fee, which would have been $130. I was able to partner with MERS Goodwill, and we had a volunteer to start. And as you're aware, through MERS Goodwill, the volunteers are covered, their workman's comp is covered through the state of Missouri. So if any injuries occur, we are not liable at all. She started last week on the 2nd, and she's been working with the street and sanitation guys. I spoke with Terry and I were talking, the house on 5th and Bushy, we're gonna try to see if the city can tear it down. So we're working on that. And the house on Walker, 605 Walker, the mortgage company closed down. So we're gonna work with the city on cutting those trees and abating that ourselves. And there were some other properties that the city did abate, and I appreciate it. So, have any questions on that? And if
Amy.
you receive a letter and someone else's junk is messed up, believe me, they got a letter too. So, I just didn't pick you out and overlook somebody else.
And just for clarification on that reduced fine, most of the items have been repaired even prior to the complaint having been signed. So they performed most of it just upon her order. So I've been instituting a practice where if it takes bringing them to court to get the nuisance abated, they still get the fine, the complete fine. This one was a little bit different, so just want to make sure that was clear.
Thank you.
It was a pool, so it was more safety issue than anything. That's the reason why we continued.
All right, and we don't have a cemetery report. Parks and Recreation,
Parks and Recreation, we ended the Pee Wee football season with a tournament in Dyersburg. Currently inventorying all of the equipment from the Pee Wee Football League, and I'm going to has to be recertified. I have to call an outside source in to make sure this equipment's still safe to use again next year. A guy, Mike from Great American Sports, does it. We're starting our kickball league. Still need first and second graders to sign up to make that league. So if anybody knows some first and second graders that want to play kickball, I need you. Still working on the quotes for the landscape to go around the new playground equipment. I saw the one at Haytide, the seesaw that she talked about. It's just directly below the seesaw. I know on the merry-go-round, you can't just do it underneath the merry-go-round because the kid doesn't fall off on it. They fall away from it. So it will be a larger area that goes around the merry-go-round. Like I said, I gotta get my quotes in from the landscapers. We have a park board meeting Wednesday. open to the public, people would like to come and voice their, opinions and recommendations for park board. You can come meet our new, park board member, Jessica Rose. She is, quite a lovely lady, and I've met her at Pee Wee football games, and I'm really looking forward to have Jessica on the park board. I'm starting a racquetball league for 16 years and older. The reason I didn't do it for younger is because I got kickball and basketball starting, and it's hard to, you can't double up on programs. And if you don't know how to play, we can teach you to play, so you can get some exercise during the winter months. Now that you can't play golf. So, that's all I got for Parks and Rec. Good job.
And that park board meeting is at 6 on Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All righty, Nick?
I wanna add, Wes called me the other day. He has an employee that has returned that used to work for the rec center, and then he's been off at basic training, David Cook. So when we did our salary, listing with our budget, he wasn't listed because he wasn't employed at the time. And now that he's back, he's been working for the rec center off and on since 2015. So he needs to be placed on the salary schedule in the appropriate place, so, the second level, level B, is $7.87, and he gets an extra $1 an hour for lifeguarding. Is that correct? He is a lifeguard?
Yes.
So when he's lifeguarding, his rate will be $8.87. So I don't know that we need to, how that needs to work, but just wanted to make sure you understand.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Paula know tomorrow to get him corrected on the salary schedule.
All right, thank you. Library?
I think it's
Sorry.
the budget. I just wanna make a statement on behalf of some of us on the finance committee, because I haven't had a chance to talk to everybody, but the finance committee spent many hours and had several meetings preparing a budget for the city. And the budget was presented with detailed information about each fund, with concerns and projected fund balances noted. And the council adopted the budget on August the 21st, 2017. It has been said that that the city council is aware of all the expenditures that are being made, and that we're responsible. And I'd just like to say that any expenditures approved or authorized outside of the budget, I personally feel like should be brought to the council for approval with recommendation for a budget amendment, and that includes the amount of the increase in the fund in which the expenditure was made. Otherwise, I don't think the finance committee or the city council can be held responsible for expenditures that are obligated outside the approved budget. And that's just a statement I wanna make.
Okay.
Well, the heat is installed. Hill Electric came last Friday and installed the heat. We've still got it was blowing cold this afternoon, and it's some zone problems. They think that because it was warm today, that it made it blow the air conditioning. So they're still working on it, but we'll hopefully get it ironed out. The children's opening of Mayor Sayre's Christmas Village is tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. Featuring author Maggie Claire of Dallas, Texas. She's gonna be, I believe, at the middle school tomorrow, and then she's gonna be at the library tomorrow evening talking about writing books and showing off some of her photographs. Then we will light the Christmas Village for the children. But even though the Christmas Village is very impressive, come out and see the art that is on display by local artists and artists with an interest to Caruthersville. Very, very good art. Then finally, the last session of our Pushing the Limit, it was a grant, and it'll be next Tuesday evening. That's the book club science cafe where the weatherman from Memphis comes down and meets with the people. There's a few of the people that are part of that program here tonight, and I think they can vouch that it's been very interesting. And we were one of 50 libraries in the entire nation selected for this. So it's been a very good program for us. And everybody's welcome. You can come even though it's the last session if you want to next Tuesday night and hear the weatherman talk. So that's all for the library.
Thank you. All right, water and sewer.
West 19th drainage project started. Did a couple bumps there at the beginning, but it seemed to be going pretty good. They got the one block done. They were turning to go down Carroll, and there's a gas main that's got to be lowered, so they're gonna shoot down the rest of way 19th and take care of that part. So we've been spending a lot of time out there with them, kind of locating and stuff that got hit, we fixing that. Had a reinforced main hit today out on 84, guys did a good job putting that back together. And that just doing normal duties.
Anything else? Okay.
I noticed there was a recommendation by Waters Engineering
Yeah, is that, are we gonna do that later, which one is that for?
that's for the Marler Drive water system improvement. It was in the bid
Yeah.
package. I just
Yes.
didn't want you to overlook
Yes.
it if it's needed.
We opened bids for the Marvin project.
Where the bids at? Bids.
I think that's the bid tabulation
Where
area.
it is?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, there it is.
things have changed over there.
Okay, yeah. The low bid was MB Construction, and that was $209,730. The total amount of the project is $371,600, and that was a very, very good price. And John Chittenden does recommend that we accept this, and so I need a motion so we can get the money from.
Hood,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rogers. Yes. Duckworth,
Yes.
Blitzen,
Yes.
Partee, Rittenberry.
Yes.
Okay. Next is insurance.
On October 26th, I met with David Goncher of Colonial Life. And he made a presentation to the mayor and Tequila, I think a week before, about supplemental policies for the city employees. It's essentially a alternative to AFLAC. And on the November 2nd, JJ and I had a telephone conference with him. And overall, it appears that Colonial Life offers more coverage for less money as compared to AFLAC. Just a few of the pluses with them is if whether you decide to sign up for their product or not, there are two benefits that each employee would get. It would be a well card and what's called KOFE, K-O-F-E, knowledge of financial education. So it would give you some employees financial coaching, things like that. The well card would offer discounts at the pharmacy, for vision care, hearing, dental, things like that. I don't know if we need to have a motion to have.
Well, first of all, these benefits are paid by the employee. The employee pays every dime of this. It's a withholding from them, and if a person elects to stay with AFLAC, then to me they ought to be allowed to stay with AFLAC, for instance. Especially since they're paying for it.
That's right. Yeah.
And and we have how many different supplemental companies right now? Do you know? 5?
About 4.
4. There's a number of them, and at some point in time, you have to say, okay, that's plenty, and so anyway. But your recommendation is to allow them to interview people and see? Okay,
yes.
Make it.
I would
All right.
recommend.
Okay, you don't need a vote. We'll just. Okay. I don't think so. Do you? We can just come in and do it. That's why we do the other ones.
Well, if that's why you did the other ones.
I mean, nobody really. I mean,
we're not spending any city funds.
No money out of the city. No.
Didn't appear to be any downside to this at all. So
okay.
That would be a benefit overall.
Good salesman, right?
Yes, very good. Yes.
Okay, the safety committee. You done that?
No, just put it in the packets.
Pardon me?
Just put it in the packets. I mean, we had the incidents. We had incidents and accidents, and they were all deemed non-preventable. So they will be getting a safety incentive bonus.
All right. Then new business.
I have one thing.
Okay.
Last year, we hired part-time for Rebecca, in the office.
Yes.
But I noticed that she has someone now that's being hired part-time. I didn't know if we had set a time, how long that was gonna be. Last year, we had to approve it, and we had approved the amount and how long she was gonna be here and all that. I didn't know if something had changed this year that we needed to, why we didn't approve it.
Do you want to approve it?
I mean, that's
Okay,
my
it's fine.
question is,
I mean, she did it last year. She needs the help, so, and we did it last year, so.
but we don't know how much she's getting paid. We don't know where she's coming from budget-wise.
Well, if you ask me these questions prior to, then I can, it's a lot easier to tell you than guessing. So I can give you more detail.
I believe she's at the same rate as she was last year.
She's
I
at
mean,
$8.50 an hour. Is that something that, is hiring employees something that the council has to approve or not approve? I think that's what we have to get clarified. And
Not necessarily under our personnel policy. Our personnel policy says that the
Especially
mayor
part-time.
/ committee can hire personnel as needed within the budgetary constraints.
So if it's not
so,
budgeted, how does that work?
Well, if it's not budgeted, then that would be an expenditure above the budget, which would have to be approved by the council. So the council would have to appropriate the funds for that, within the budget.
you are aware that a lot of times at the recreation department, the students leave, they come back, and that happens all the time, even with the library also.
I think the library board hires the library employees, and I think the Parks and Recreation Board hires the Parks and Recreation employees within the budget, the number of people that are budgeted to work at the Parks and Recreation Department. I think, am I correct on that?
Yeah, they both have their own independent,
And
hiring
that's would be
process.
the question, when submitting the budget that she's paid out of, which would be administrative, I'm sure, or general, where did you put it? That, did you submit that she would have an extra person? Is it in the budget? Or is it something that we're gonna have to worry about later on, that we did, because we're running close, that we're gonna have to amend?
I will,
That's the question.
I'll give you the amount
Okay.
next time. Okay? All right. Any other new business? Okay. All right. Now, call from business from the floor. Hold up. So we're gonna make this real organized. And so what I'd like to do is, if you want to speak, that's fine. But just gonna have one time to speak. And so anybody who wants to speak during this time, then please raise your hand, identify yourself, and I'll write your name down and call you in order. Tom Tidwell.
Thank you.
One second. Get my names down
You
here.
did call me, right?
One second. Wait, 1 second. I'm writing the names down.
Oh, you didn't make yourself clear.
And, okay, and the next hand I saw was that gentleman there. Identify yourself, sir.
Donald Jeffries.
Okay, and then I saw back there in the back a hand go up, and I not certain which one it was I saw first, but so pick. Is
Robert Jones.
okay, Robert Jones. Okay, and your name?
Mary Beth Hudgens.
Okay. All right, Doug McDowell. Okay. Charles Moten. Luther Robinson. Anybody else? Anybody else? That it? Okay. Okay, Mr. Sidwell.
Well, I'm not gonna have according to statute that people have got to read tonight, our city council has the full authority to go ahead tonight and make a decision to start the impeachment process as an in-house process according to the Missouri State statute presented to us. And, I just feel like that it's time to do something. We have a mayor that steps outside of his jurisdiction at times and has used his authority, including dismissing, putting on leave employees without the consent or even the consideration of the council to do so. And I'm here tonight to ask the city council to take this into thought and think about it, and we need a decision made over this fiasco we have here in this city tonight. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Jeffries?
In regards to the rec center roof, actually, Annie was wondering, what would be a cost comparison between just putting on a new roof and spending the money for new and old repairs? Also, a hotel not paying city taxes was brought up. And apparently, for some reason, the information about who has the hotel cannot be gotten. The ownership is public record. I don't understand that. And there was something else, but I forgot.
You wanna address the hotel thing?
There has been some changes in ownership of the hotel over the past year. It's been difficult to, there were operating groups, and then there were the owners of the property itself. So the owners of the property are one thing, and then the operating groups were another. So that's something we're trying to track down, and see who had ownership and responsibility during the various time frames.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Robert Jones.
City Council, at what point, since this mayor has been elected, have y'all even tried to do anything besides obstruct this man to conduct anything productive for this city? What? Can anybody tell me anything?
I supported them on the alleys, trimming up the trees. I know that there's been a lot of support on projects.
Business-wise.
Business-wise. Could you state something that's proposed?
Not so much something he's proposed, have y'all tried to work with him?
Well, he'd have to propose something for us to work with him.
Okay, and as far as y'all, what have y'all proposed? Business-wise. Since he's supposed to be such an ineffective leader, what have y'all proposed?
I have proposed on several occasions, made known in the council meeting, of exploring and looking for businesses to come to the city, and looking for avenues or means and persons to try and bring business to the city. I've said that here on more than one occasion. And I not only support the mayor, but I support anyone who would like to bring businesses to Caruthersville. Whether if that means selling land, leasing land to make that happen, I've always been for that, and I voiced that.
Okay, and see, and that's the issue. I've been here, like I said, I grew up here, 45 years old. I haven't seen one business of any significance come to this city. Some of y'all been on the city council for some years. This stalemate ain't just start with this man. Now, people want things done, but if nobody's working with nobody, what's gonna get done?
what's gonna get done? Now, y'all didn't have a problem voting to impeach him, that was unanimous.
We haven't voted to impeach anybody, actually.
I'm pretty sure.
No, you're absolutely wrong,
I'm
100%.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. But then as far as that concerned, what laws have he broken? What does he went to jail for and some handcuffs?
I'm not an
that he was
investigator.
behind bars for? Do anybody know? Has there been any issues of derelict of duty that, he's not showing up for work, he's coming in drunk? Anything that he's been doing on the city's time that's been against the law? Is there anybody that got any issue? Because as far as it's concerned, I mean, it's just allegations. This man's being tried in the court of public opinion over morality versus immorality. Now, if sex is a crime, everybody in here ought to be going to jail unless you ain't doing nothing. Because it's fine to date a woman, it's fine to date a man. Ain't none of that a crime. So what you do on your own time shouldn't be an issue with nobody when it comes down to that. Because everything fair game now. Society done made it that way. Now, if it's been a crime committed on company time concerning that, then where is it at? Where is it at? No, allegations, lawsuit. Where is it at? Where's the certified?
A lawsuit,
See on the list?
yeah, I'm on the list, but did you ask were these people on the list when they start interjecting while he was talking? That's the problem with our city right now.
That's exactly why I asked, because we are starting to have, the mayor has
You
instituted.
didn't, but
a new
when they said what they said, you didn't have a thing to say. But when I was
Okay,
getting ready to interject something, you over.
We can't have discussion, we can't have discussion.
That's what the problem is.
Right.
Listen completely.
I'll address that when I got what I got to say.
So,
I can't hear.
at the end of the day, as far as trying to impeach a mayor or overturn the election of the people that voted him in, if he hasn't broke a crime, or done something that's illegal, not immoral, illegal, then there's nothing to be talking about. Nothing. When it comes to impeachment. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, Mary Beth Hudgens.
I'm looking for information on how to file a grievance against the mayor. I don't really know how to go about doing that. Issue is, I wrote a check back in March of this year for the armory. The check, I was not even notified the check had not been handled, nothing was done with it until September. Once I was notified by that, not through the mayor or anybody here, through my father-in-law, who was contacted by someone here, then the check was sent in October. Due to the fact that I don't use that account anymore, I didn't have the money in there. Once I realized what had happened, I put it in there. Sent a text message to someone here, said, hey, rerun that check again, there is money there, the very same day that it was declined. Check is still not taken care of. Still not. Nothing.
And the grievance is.
Why is that not taken care of? This is March. That is now a stale dated check, according to my bank.
Ms. Hudgens,
That is now a stale dated check.
when you came to the office, didn't you tell me you were to come back that evening to pay cash?
You told me to go to Focus Bank and give them money, and I said, what am I
No,
supposed to tell them?
come back here. 'cause
No, ma'am, you
can-
told me to go to Focus Bank and give them money, and I said, what am I supposed to tell them? And you kinda looked at me like
No,
I was
you,
retarded.
you couldn't give them the money because they wouldn't know what you were.
Exactly, so why would you tell me to go to Focus Bank and do
You
that?
told me specifically that you could come back to the office and pay cash. Because I don't never get insufficient funds, but the water department does it all the time, get insufficient funds. And they said what they usually do is have them come and pay
But I was never
cash.
contacted, never notified. The only way that I knew the check didn't even go through was because of my bank.
Well,
And
I
then
don't
I
have,
contacted
I don't have anything
Terry
to do with
Rushing,
that
and I said,
part,
"Hey,
but
put that check back through.
when you came to the office, you said you would come back and I told you I would give you a receipt for it.
And you told me to go to Focus Bank, is what you told me to do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Why would you have a grievance against the mayor for that rather than just the administration in general, way it's
Oh,
handled?
well,
Was there
whoever I
anything
need to file it
specific?
against is fine. but it needs to be filed against someone because that check was written back in March.
That's
Well,
correct.
That would be,
I got the paper right here. Okay, that check was written in March 9th, and it was held by the city of Caruthersville until it looks like October.
For what reason?
I don't know.
Me either.
Can you address that, sir?
Turned in turnover.
7 months?
Turned in and turned over, when turnover.
7 months?
At that time, according to my bank, that is a stale dated check.
It's pretty old.
yeah, it's real.
A stale dated check is 6 months old. At that point, it's 6 months old, and the bank is not supposed to cash it. So Focus should have never ran it through to begin with. But it was put through, Focus ran it, and of course it went and it bounced because I don't use that account. But once I realized what had happened, I put the money in there. The money is still in there. There sits in there $300 for that account, for that check right there.
I don't think there's any way the city of Caruthersville can get the money unless you bring it up here, because the general fund
So I
account.
gotta run around and chase a check that
Well, just
I
bring it.
gave to y'all?
No, you just bring the cash up and then we'll take care of it. Put it into the bank.
So I've got to do this twice now. So I've got to come and bring you money for something.
Well, I
that-
understand
mean-
where you're at because that is a long time.
It's terrible.
But I didn't have any control over that.
Were you notified by anybody else that you had a check out?
I was not notified by anybody in this room other than my father-in-law.
Anybody outside of
Yeah.
the city tell you that there was a check that was written?
Yes.
Other than your banking institution?
Yes.
Someone at the table?
No.
By someone at the table?
No. No.
Not told, but they were told by somebody at the
Well,
table?
we in it.
What do you mean?
Did somebody see the check in town?
I was told that somebody did, yes. I was told that he had taken the check around town and had shown it to several different people.
Thank you.
Yes.
And who told you that?
Who told me that? Lisa, I can't even say her last name, it starts with a B. She works up at the assessor's office in town. I was told by my father-in-law, Jerry Hudgens, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what prompted me to come to your office, looking for the mayor, who supposedly had that check. And you
We
told me
don't-
he didn't have a copy of
I don't
that
think
check,
we
but
get the
it sits in his
actual
hand.
checks. We just get a yellow slip, I believe, don't we?
Yeah, you don't. They don't.
We don't
do
get a
it
check
anymore.
anymore. But anyway, I
was
didn't.
notified November the 1st that he was taking it around town.
It's
And
not
that's what
correct.
prompted me to come.
That's not correct. There's no point in doing that. It's pointless.
How is that pointless?
All the city of Caruthersville wants is the money.
City of Crowsville should have cashed the check when it was written.
Yeah,
Ask
true.
Terry about it.
Are
Terry
you
had
not
the
Terry's
check.
boss?
Terry had the check. I don't look over his shoulder all the time.
So you don't watch your employees? You do.
No,
You
I'm
don't
not.
watch
I'm
your
not.
employees
I'm
at
not
all?
auditing. I'm not auditing Terry every step of what he puts in the bank and what he doesn't. He makes a turnover. He's a department head.
So how many times a year do you do a turnover?
Every month.
He-
Every month. So every month, there was a $300 negative balance and you didn't see it.
No, we
That
didn't.
check
He
was
didn't
missing.
deposit. He didn't deposit until when?
October.
March. I mean until
October.
until October, right?
Right.
So that's
So-
7 months.
So there's a book somewhere that says, hey, she rented the armory at this time, but you can't account for that check for 7 months. You never saw a report from him. Nothing.
This one, dated October the 10th, shows your check, March 9th, right there.
That's the only time that you saw that check on there.
Yeah.
You want a copy?
Well, somebody's not keeping books.
Yes.
But now, as far as the check being seen outside of the city, the day that the mayor suspended me, he did ask me for the copy of that check.
That's
No,
funny
I
because
asked him.
she said and told
My
me that
words to
didn't have
you
it.
are, "Where's the?" I said,
told
"Have
you
you
I put it
done?
in
Have
his
you
box.
done
The mayor
anything with the
wouldn't
check?"
Right, all you told me was that the mayor didn't have it. That's all you told me.
you asked me for the check, you said, where's it
Right.
at?
Right, well, we didn't
I
have,
pulled it out
so,
of my drawer,
okay.
and you took it.
And I said, then I
So
said,
if it was
you're gonna
showed
get the money.
outside
And then
the
that's,
city,
but
that would
anyway,
be on you.
so, still the money's owed, and, I mean, and.
The way I feel about it, that's a stale dated check.
Correct.
Right, that's
Do
the
you
reason
know
why we
who-
don't
do you
really
know
wanna
who
check.
the check was displayed to, or the insufficient funds notice was displayed to?
I was told by 3 different people that it was shown in town.
Okay,
By Lisa and Jerry Hudgens, and then he told me that Miss Christina saw it, but I cleared that up with her, and she
That's
said
almost
she
like
did not see
hearsay,
it.
isn't it? Okay,
why
here's,
don't we,
here's the one.
why don't we visit and see who, see if we can track down who it was displayed to and see if we can verify whether that's accurate or not.
Okay.
Okay?
Isn't it? Okay, thank you. But that would not be my purpose to show anybody's check. I could care less. All we want is the money, period. And I'm sorry your check was held for 7 months. Okay, let's see who's next. Doug McDowell.
I want to begin by apologizing to Mr. Moten for interrupting you. In light of the recent church shootings, I was wondering if the police department, with support of the city, could maybe try to develop some kind of a program to come into the individual churches in town and maybe give us some security advice, which doors need to be locked, which ones during worship service, those kinds of
This is
things.
what Jerry Hudgens went to, class for, he does that now.
Good deal.
Just get a hold of him and get a date.
I
with
think
him.
that's a concern that all of us in churches should have if we don't, and I know we would welcome y'all to come, and I think it'd be a good service for the community if y'all are willing to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. That's a good one.
Charles Moten.
Yes, I'm gonna pass this out. First of all, everybody has this, I'm assuming. I'm gonna pass this out and let the councilman see this. We got a problem here in Caruthersville. We act like we wanna work together. We give the impression that we wanna work together, but we're not really trying to work together. What we got in Caruthersville going is just throw the stone and hide your hands. A lot of people that come in here get on topics and say what they really want to say on topics, but won't come in here to our forum here and say what it is, what you have to say. It's very simple to say what you have to say. Now, for Mr. Hood, I'm going to give him credit because, Robert, it's some meetings that you've missed. I brought up suggestions about new businesses coming to town, eminent domain, and he's always been in agreement with that. But there's other people on the council that's always in Facebook forums that never bring anything up, that lend their hand to businesses, bent over backwards for businesses that FEMA said don't supposed to be here, number one, that would bring money to our town, that hasn't brought any money to our town. But that brown shoe is open out there, and it was always stated that you could put a recycling plant in that can make $250,000, $500,000 a month just recycling our own trash right in here in town. The other thing that I want to get on to, what I want to say before it escapes my mind, every other modern city in the United States that has a city council, even smaller than ours, every person has a microphone on the desk and it's a video recorder set up. This video recorder is not any good. I think the man that mans this, if I'm not mistaken, he's the same guy that mans the one that's at the school. And every time it's an instance at the school, like a kid getting choked, the video is always, we can't find the video. The video is not there. We need a real video for the city council. Some real microphones for the city council. So it won't be any discrepancies of what you're saying and what you're not saying. When you go in closed session, what you're saying and what you're not saying. And let's start making some of this stuff. I think what goes in private session is supposed to be made public in a certain amount of hours. Let's start making this stuff public and quit getting private. Because my standing is, every time we come in here and something is about to happen, you want to go into closed session. Then what goes into closed session never gets brought out to the public. And my last point about this, because the other person that I want to talk to, I'm not a person that's going to talk about somebody and they're not here. This is malarkey. This is propaganda at its finest. If you're going to do a copy and paste, print off everything so all the information can be here. Your little information that you got and that you're running around town trying to get off these petitions comes from the impeached mayor and city council members. It don't say nothing about the city council members. And it has a very, very, very detailed process of how you have to impeach the mayor, and if you want to impeach city council members, how to impeach them also. This right here, you have two major sections of what you're really supposed to do. This is an introduction, how it's really supposed to be done, and I'm not going to read it. How it's really supposed to be done, you left all of that out. This is what you call a dog and bell whistle. This is a good thing to come in here and drop on the table and get all confusion going on within the city. But no facts, nothing of how can we do something better? How can we work with the mayor? How can these city councilmen start working with each other to get some business in here? I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave the floor alone. I brought to the city, and the chief brought to the city also, that you could put a Love's out there of the end of South Ward that will probably hire 75 to 100 people. I'm a truck driver. There are no fairways. Hayti is getting all the business right now. They're booming over there. We got our own section right out there with the buildings that you can put it right out there. The last time I brought that up, they said, well, the one in Dyersburg is too close. Well, if you go to the city, if it's a Love's right here, it's a Love's right there where the post office is. It might be a TA over there where Grizzly Jig is. There's no thing as being too close. And the last thing, the Walmart left. I had interjected that we could get a Sam's here or something like that. That Walmart is too small. I did the research on that. But the one thing that they are doing with the Walmarts that closed down that's the size of ours is something that's called the community Walmart. They put the Walmart right back in the building that's the same size as ours. That Walmart was the biggest tax base of our city. We need the money. We all this bickering and arguing and fighting over something that the mayor allegedly supposed to have been done on his off time that has nothing to do with city policy. Well, if you read the rest of that, or if you get that printed out and put that out here, you'll see this is null and void. What you're talking about is nothing. And then this is the other thing. You can't get online and put this online and then come in here and act like you being fair. I got you. You can't put this online and then come back and act like you being fair. This is blatant racist. Yes. This is blatant. Yes. With your name on here, with your stamp on here that you put on Facebook. What you need to... No, I'll give it to you. I'll do one better for you. Pass it around.
I don't want to pass it around. I want this one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. But this is the kind of stuff that we got going on in Caruthersville that needs to stop. I was born and raised here. I got kids here. I am not trying to leave Caruthersville. I actually like it here. But you know what I get sick of? Every time I come to this city council meeting, all of this malarkey that's going on. I came up, the first person that I ever seen with a pistol in a school was Diane Sayre in her desk, threatening Maggie Goodwin. That is not hearsay. That is not alleged. That happened with me there. I came up here to try to get a job on the city with no record, no anything. When Dinky Lane was still living, he had fired a city employee, water department employee, came in and told the Diane Sayre, hey, I got somebody that'll be good for the job. He has no record. If it's Charles Moe, you can forget about him getting a job. That's what she told him. So let's get off of this. The mayor is this, the mayor is that, because I got a lot of, I told you all before I started this thing, that everybody has skeletons in their closets. Everybody. I got stuff on everybody sitting at this table that I can come in this city council meeting and drop down and it wouldn't be good. And you would be the first one, cause you always open your mouth. Yeah,
Sir.
you always, just like when Robert was talking, you always got something to say.
No, sir.
You always, where is it? Man,
Well, can I have just 1 second, please?
yes,
Mr.
you
Mom,
can
to
have,
address
I'm
what you're
gonna
saying?
let you have
Well,
1 second and I'm gonna be done, cause I'm talking right now. This right here is your expose on you. This is yours, cause me and you had a little conversation.
we did, and I thought I
on
was pretty
Facebook.
polite to her.
Yes, you was real polite. But I told you at that time that I didn't want to talk to you about what you want to talk. I ain't interested in coming to you.
You're not interested in talking to me. You're interested in trying to belittle me.
I'm not interested in coming to your house, talking to you. Did I belittle you when we were online?
No, but it appears that's what you're gonna try to do now.
And then, am I saying any of this information right now?
I don't care. I mean,
I know you don't. You won't care. But if I start reading this information,
He who cast the first stone,
you would definitely care, because you might be getting impeached tonight. You might be getting asked to leave tonight. Let's just get together as a community and quit the bickering and arguing. I am born and raised here. My parents were city council members here. I've been here. I've been in this process. I know exactly how this process works. My dad appointed for you to be the chief, to get your place and what you're doing right now in the city. My dad did that when he was an alderman. So all of this is not falling on deaf ears. Let's quit doing the throw the rock, hide your hand. If we all got on the same page to try to get some businesses in this town and quit fighting with each other, the town might live, because it's dying. Trinity's leaving. Bungie, Consolidated Grain, is kicking Bungie in the butt. They're about to be gone too. It's over with. The city is dying in our face. We need to come together and get some businesses within our city and quit bickering and arguing at every turn. Because, last thing, Diane ruled with an iron fist. The stuff that you allow to go on in these council meetings, she wouldn't allow. She'd just be, shut your mouth. And I said, be quiet. I've been here when she done it. And would nobody say nothing. I got a legal suit that can come and tear this city apart because of what code enforcement and the city attorney did with our mass shooting that we had out here at this club. It's not over with. But there's so much bickering and arguing. This is a good thing for me, y'all bickering and arguing with the mayor. Because mine is going to slide right in here, and I'm going to get what I'm deserved. Because they colluded with a private citizen that nobody's talking about, that it was brought up in this council meeting. And at the end of that, when I pulled my license off that business, we had the worst mass shooting this town ever had. I always went and talked to that chief of police, told him everything that was going on, every step was going on, made it completely transparent. If your officers want to come out here, you can come out here. I welcome you to come out here. And you can ask him. He's not going to lie on my behalf. When I was out there dealing with that business, we didn't have one police call, one loud music call. I leave for a month and a half, we got the worst mass shooting in Caruthersville history. Cut the crap, council, because all of y'all can be impeached too. You could be what he's leaving out in that manifest that he's putting right here. It's rules for all the council members to be impeached too, to be gone too, just as quick as you want the mayor gone. Let's cut it out. Let's cut it out, man. It's time out for that. Let's get together and work together to bring some industry back here. Last time I checked, it used to be a Brown Shoe, Colson's, several other factories here. You're the banker in town. When those factories are here, you actually have people buying homes in this town. No homes have been bought in this town since Brown Shoe and those other factories have left. It's a rent-to-own melee going around here. You can't even get a job around here to buy a home around here. I want to buy a home around here. I'm not trying to leave. I'm not going to leave Caruthersville. I love it here. I love the benefits of being here. I like that I can come up and talk to my city government, to my chief of police. You can't do that anywhere else. But all this bickering and arguing and all of that, you need to cut it out. You need to stop. And you definitely need to stop doing what you're doing, because that is no good at all. If you're going to put something out here, put the whole thing out here. Or people gonna start looking at you and put stuff out about you, what you do in your private life. And this is not hearsay.
I say, I'm not denying it.
This, I know you're not, because I got the proof on you. If I came in here with some allegations.
Because you haven't sat down and talked to me.
I don't have to know the whole story about it. When it says, just curious, if cotton were black, would there be a problem? And it's got Tom Tidwell shared this link up here with 9 likes. I don't have to do when you shared the link. I don't have to talk to you about that. This is something you done. Now, I'm man enough, I went right to your business, I think, today, to try to get you to tighten up my door on my transfer truck. That lets you know I'm not against you like that. But you need to quit doing this and bringing this to the city council meetings. Bring the whole thing up. Put the whole report up. And if you want to talk to me, we can go out here so these other people can have their floor. I didn't have the floor long enough. It's 3 paragraphs that are very important to this that you left out. And it was left out on purpose.
You'll step out here and talk.
Come on, we go out here.
Well, just for a second, Charles, before you leave, I'd like to say something. And I'm gonna stand while I say it. About 90% of what you just said, I agree with wholeheartedly. And the way you love this town, I do too, sir. And you want bickering to stop. I agree. Well, I asked you to come by. I asked you to talk issues with me. But did you not just, well, could you let me finish just as I did you, sir?
Yeah, but we were talking, when you say something, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm not gonna let you get an expose. I'm gonna say this. We were talking in a public forum and you kept trying to get me to get private with you. I'm not
No, sir, no.
Yes, you did. You kept saying, come to my house, come to my house.
Could I say my statement?
Here's my phone
Sir,
number.
Could I please finish my statement like I did?
He wants to finish his statement without interruption.
Charles.
Hey, Charles. Well, okay. Well, what I was wanting to say is I agree with Charles about 90% of what he said. And I think his passion for the town is great. That's what I said to him. I also said, if you'd like to come by my house, have an open door policy, we can kick around ideas about this. I'm not the kind of guy that got into this for anything but to try to help the town I love, okay? When Mike came to me and he said, you know, I've got an appointment to make, and I told him, I said, I have a love for this town, and I wanted to show my children that if you can become civic-minded, you can make things happen. You can make change for the better. Now, what I'm not prepared to do is sit here and be belittled and threatened. And that is exactly what I heard. And I do not. Well, you threatened with some expose, Charles.
Yeah.
Charles, what you don't understand is I'm willing to work with you, brother.
Workshop. Why did you leave? I'm not giving that blind threats and throwing blind threats. Why did you leave the shelter workshop? You and another employee. Why did y'all leave?
Why did I, Charles?
Why did you leave?
You answered me that. I took a job at the University of Missouri.
All right, we're gonna end the conversation
But
now.
what I would like
Okay.
to say is,
All right.
I don't think that this is gonna help us get anywhere. Working with each other to try to find some business, that's what's gonna help us out, man.
And that was my point. And since these city council meetings, you have not brought up one time a business that can be brought here to the town. When I said something about that recycling, you said, hey, yeah, me and my wife, we said something about the recycling.
We did, we actually made a proposal to the council.
Okay, I think we've heard enough
We
from,
have not brought anything up to bring a new business.
where's my hammer at? Okay. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, sir. All right. Next is Luther Robinson.
Everything in this newspaper is negativity pertaining to the mayor. Everything. That she's right. She's like she got a personal vendetta against the mayor. But it's alleged, you know, that's what they try to do, alleged that you done did something. Alleged that you stole. You was a thief. But you want to try to scandalize the mayor every chance you get. That's why you said, the chief said no businesses want to come here, cause all negativity is here. All of it. Alleged, that she's putting out here. But you stealing. But none of that is in here. These guys here, that's probably where you probably should have been. For stealing. But ain't none of that been brought up here. But everything is against the mayor. Everybody. None of you all, since I've been coming to city council, never tried to work with the mayor on nothing. Nothing. Every time he say something, well, we're gonna do this here, you table it. You do this. Well, I don't think it should be that way. Everybody, mainly Nick, Duckworth, him, and JJ, and Sue. Well, she gonna always have a problem with them because she lost against him. She's a loser. So she lost against him, so everything she say is gonna be trying to hurt or belittle the man. Everything. You need to get your acts together, like Charles said. You need to start working together.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
Exactly what deal is right when this is what's discussed at the meetings? Because we go through and we write the minutes of the meetings, just like Tequila does, to file it.
Did you put in the meeting, did they have it in there when you stole from the Chamber of Commerce?
No, sir, because you're bringing up an allegation that was against me. More
Okay,
than-
allegations, that you know, the same thing you're doing with the allegation. It's all here. It's all right here. It's all right here.
I don't think this is.
He needs to shut it down, like he's.
Okay.
Somebody needs to shut it down now.
No, actually, I've had enough. I'll see y'all.
You wanna bring up something against me?
Hey, Matt,
We're actually gonna do this.
I have some discussions that I need to have with council.
We need to stay,
in closed
we need to
session.
stay. Okay, okay, I think we're done with, call for business from the floor, okay? We're done with call for business floor.
I'm sorry, can I say something? I was not here for this, but can I please say something? And I mean it with my sincere heart. I am not a former person here. I was not born or raised here. I came here in 1993, okay? I'm ashamed right now. I am so ashamed that
Oh, he's up together, baby.
I'm
You
ashamed.
can say it.
I'm ashamed to say right now that I'm a resident of Caruthersville, Missouri. You just don't even understand how appreciative I was to come from North Little Rock, Arkansas, a big city, big town, where lights are shining, and so many things to do. To say that I was a part of Caruthersville, I don't even call North Little Rock home anymore. I call Caruthersville home. But I'm so ashamed of what's going on in our city, and I don't have no side. I'm on the right side. I don't have a mayor's side. I don't have a city council side. I have a city of Caruthersville side. And I want to say, and I pray to God that I'm not in nobody's minutes, because this is not something that I wanted to do. But I feel like it's the right thing to do. And because I'm on the right side, I'm standing here tonight, to say this. We're so easy to say something about somebody, but when it's on our foot, it gets tight. We want to run. We want to get mad. I mean this with my whole heart. This is my home, and I love my home. I love this city with everything in me. When I was able to get this job, I was thinking, what can I do for the city? Not for my child, not for my family, but for the city. And for some of the things that's going on, it shouldn't be, period. Whether it's the mayor, whether it's the city council, or whether it's the residents. If we will look in the mirror and see ourselves, there's not one person that can say anything about anybody, because I know I have so many things in my closet that I pray to God that nobody in here will see, because I'm ashamed to myself. If we would just take a minute and breathe and believe the prayer that Charlie Jones said today, I'm still leaning and depending on that prayer. If we would take a minute, we wouldn't be able to say anything about anybody. And the Bible says, sorry, I know this is a city council, but the Bible says, whatever is done in the dark, I'm not going to need nobody to bring it out, because God is going to reveal everything that needs to be revealed in His time. If we try to do something on our own, we're going to mess it up. I don't know what happened. I want to fly on the wall and I am on the floor, but I do know that He sits high and He looks down low, and everybody that has something in this pot is gonna be revealed, period. It's not gonna be on Chief, it's not gonna be on Chief Tony, it's gonna be on God. So let this be said. If you've done anything, blame God. Don't blame the people, can't blame city council, can't blame nobody. Blame God. And if you can blame God, so be it. I hope to God that all this bickering is over. Should it be? Sorry, I was not on your paper. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I agree with a lot of things that have been said here tonight. And I would like to ask that you ask the committee that you have appointed for new development and economic development to check into the ideas that Charles threw out tonight. If it's possible, to get the community Walmart, the Love's, the recycling plant. I don't think there's anybody sitting around this table that would be opposed if that was brought to the table, to have any kind of business or industry brought into this town. If one of us around this table is supposed to be doing that, just tell us who it is, and if it's me, I'll start working on it. But this mayor's report says that you've appointed these people, and that you wanted these committees to be outside the city council. So I suggest that if these are even remotely possible ideas, ask them to start working on it and report back to this council.
Okay.
I have one thing, that's all I got, is
And I'm fine with microphones on the table too, I think it's a good idea.
Dawn said that she got the job because she wanted to help the city. I think every one of us that sit around this table did the same thing.
That's right.
And I know for a fact, the way I go home after these meetings, and I don't spend time with my family until maybe days after because of the actions that's taken here. And I know, maybe not, somebody may not know this, but I do know that I've had several conversations with the mayor in here and out of here that we have tried to work together, and we have done some. We don't always agree to disagree. I'm bullheaded, he's bullheaded, that's why we're all different, that's what makes the council go. But there are things that I don't agree with, and that's where I'm at. But it's not easy to sit at this table. It's easy to sit out there and judge us for our decisions, but it's not easy to sit at this table because this takes more than an hour or 2 hours every 2 weeks. So get out there and blast every single one of you. I don't care. I have to sit at this table and I have to do what I think is right, and I have to live with that. And that's what I'm gonna do. And I pray every damn night that I go to bed.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
we had 2 more people that had been noticed that they wanted to say something. I don't think it's fair for everybody else to say what they had to say, and these 2 gentlemen don't get a chance to voice. Steve and Bobby. Bobby Lockwood.
Okay.
Not Bobby Lockwood.
Ronnie.
Ronnie. I was gonna say, Ronnie.
Well, I had some concerns and, that I was gonna put on the table. I think this council and this, and everyone here has had enough. I mean, I do believe that the mayor, and he can be one of the first ones to tell you, I don't wave his flag. I'm one of his biggest products. I don't have no problems telling him to his face. I tell it in front of him, because if I say it in front of mama, I say it in front of all of y'all. But at the same time, Mike has his issues, like we all have. We all have issues. If we just, like everyone said, we dig in them closets, you'll see a lot of stuff. I don't want nobody to see my mess, 'cause I'm not perfect. But my biggest concern, because I'm an advocate for kids. And I remember when I was in civic class, they would take you, to meetings and show you how to
conduct yourself at meetings, city council, it was a variety of things. And what if we have some of these students coming here? And they just as allowed to be here just as anyone else. We need to stop, we need businesses, we need to quit all this arguing, fighting, and trying to, the mayor's got enough on his plate that he has to deal with. And I believe that his issue is between him, his wife, and his family. Because as we all have done things that we're not proud of. We've done it. I mean, you may not want to, I don't want to put all my mess out there, but when I'm talking about these kids. We had, when I was a kid, Hot Rogers was the mayor. He pulled his, he asked Norman House for the pistol to shoot some folks out here in the audience. There's no lie. I ain't got no lie to tell you.
Council member.
I don't have no lie to tell you. My dad was on the city council then. We would come in the city council meetings and seen all of that. When I was a kid and I worked at Big Star and at Hayes, I used to have to walk behind, especially towards the end of the day, I used to have to walk behind Hart Rogers. And it felt very uncomfortable because he had some finger issues. But we had to write down, go right behind him, write down everything that he took, and the business was the business. This community has these kids, they have no respect. We have a little in our school systems. I believe we have put money before our kids. We're putting money before our kids. It hurt me more than anything, and I'm gonna go. When the young white lady was killed over here by the school, I didn't find out till late in the day. It was like that morning. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock when I found out what took place. And I called Pastor Jones, Jamie Jones, to run me out there. And I didn't know what time I didn't know what time all that mess was happening between that 4 o'clock window and to the time. But it bothered me, and it still bothers me today. If the kids ain't safe, it's a problem. I believe that day that horrible event took place, I believe at that point in time, and especially when that young man was running around and we didn't know exactly where he was at, if there was a time to have a robocall and cancel school, I don't believe that was the time to cancel school for a day. That was the time to cancel school for a day. It was not worth, and Tony and the police department did an excellent job. Excellent job. But my concern was, because I didn't know until Jamie Jones came to my house, and I'm worried about my nephews out there. And I can't even access to them. I can't even get to them. So it's about these babies. We had teachers in the school, a couple years ago, and everybody knows what I'm talking about, that's aware. And then what are these kids supposed to think? When everything is pushed under the rug. Pushed under the rug. And these kids see it, and they ain't crazy. They ain't crazy, they understand. They understand a lot more than we do. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Next.
I'd like to clarify just a few things that were brought up so that you are not misinformed with respect to what the statutes and laws are that govern. And there were a few things that were bandied about in the discussion. This does not apply to cities of the 3rd class. It's the statute for cities of the 4th class. So it's inapplicable to Caruthersville. However, there is a statute almost identical that does apply to cities of the 3rd class. So there is. There are provisions with respect to that same matter for other statutory cities and for constitutional chartered cities and other cities. So there's different statutes regarding that issue. This is not ours though. There was a discussion about releasing closed session items, and you had to do it within a certain period of time. That's only applicable to employment decisions, hiring, firing, promoting, or disciplining of personnel. That has to be released within 72 hours. With respect to litigation, when the litigation is completed, those items, any votes and actions that are taken have to be released. And the items with hiring and firing and promoting are only the actual actions that are taken are what's released. The minutes are not released. With respect to contracts, when the contract's fully executed, it's released to the public. So there are different time frames within which items are released to the public or become public information. I mean, there's no duty that we actually put out a press release every time that a time period comes up that happens in. It just becomes a public record at that point. So that's the primary matters there. I think I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. All right, the next thing on the agenda is introduction of bills and ordinance providing for the voluntary drug testing of elected officials, of which you have before you. And all these people who are employees that are appointed or just hired are subject to drug testing. And the only people that are not are elected officials. And we did have a long time ago a discussion about that, whether that would be a good idea or not. And so I do think it's a good idea. And the only issue is, and I do believe that when you are drug tested, that they ask you what medicines you're taking or what like that, so they'll have an idea.
I think that's one of the items that they
Yes,
do when they
and because some of us have to take different kinds of medicine, especially when you get older and stuff, and they wouldn't necessarily be they wouldn't be on a control. I mean, what word am I looking for? Illegal drug. But you wouldn't necessarily want somebody to know that you're taking allopurinol or whatever. So in that regard, you could put that information could be on there, and this is only for testing for controlled substances, and there would be a designated medical review officer, and in the event this is passed, then and you can send it to a drug test, then basically what you do is sign a form saying that you understand what basically that you're undergoing this test on a voluntary basis, and because elected officials have different rights than any other people. Is that correct? Kind of.
Well, with respect to you said that every employee is subject to drug testing. That's not entirely accurate either.
Okay.
The drug testing can only be mandatory and mandated for safety-sensitive employees. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution prohibits a search of that nature. And this is in the public sector that we're talking about here, so it's not the same for private companies. But in the public sector, it has to be a safety-sensitive position for drug testing to take place on a mandatory basis. Now, this ordinance appears to have been drafted so that it was a voluntary system, so that officials can volunteer to do drug testing as opposed to.
Lawrence, I have a question. I don't have a problem with taking drug tests, but what brought this up? I can pee anytime you want to, take blood, take hair from under my arm because I don't have none on my hair. But I don't care whoever thinks. But because the mayor may have heard that BT, I'm just going to use your name.
That's fine.
BT Meredith is smoking marijuana. So now we want to make an ordinance. like I said.
Really?
I'm just
Really?
saying. That's just.
Really?
Who brought up the deal with the.
It was
elected
discussed
officials?
a number of months ago. It was mentioned. And so, anyway,
don't-
but
I don't-
anyway,
I got
okay.
to-
I'll tell you what.
I would like
I'll tell
to
you what.
interject something. I got
Since
to-
you're really not on the council, won't you let them
Well,
discuss?
I am.
Okay.
I'm asking.
Last time I checked, I am on the council, and I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead.
Something. I was just had a question, why the DOT drug tests, that, I know a lot about this, my wife did, she was in charge of doing drug testing for about 20 years. It's one of the most expensive tests there is. I don't know if you know this, but, there's a collection fee, of course, which was mentioned, that does not include, there's also a testing fee and a confirmation fee. With each drug, even legal, that you test positive for, there's a separate charge that we would be incurring. There are plenty of other drug testing programs out there that you can use. This is one that is designed for a federal.
Oh, wait a minute. How much does it cost when we do drug testing?
One person.
Man, I ain't on the council.
127,
I don't have a problem. I agree,
something
everybody
like
should be
that.
drug
It's not very
tested,
expensive.
everybody.
How much?
And they come over here to do it.
But is that DOT, ma'am?
Huh?
Is that through the DOT?
No.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. This is what this was, if you read this, is what it was crafted after. And, that is an extremely expensive drug testing program.
Okay.
Okay, quietly, please.
Can we
Let's not
have some
argue
water?
over it. But I do have some questions about it, because I did read it. So if it's voluntary, how does that take place? Do you like randomly draw one of
No.
our names? Well, hang on
No.
just a minute. And call us and say your name's been selected? Or how does it happen voluntarily? I'm just curious.
I would say that you agreed to do it.
Well, I'm asking him. I'm asking-
Well, how would you
another
define the
thing
word
is-
voluntary?
Hang on just a minute.
Sir?
Let me
He's
get
a
this
lawyer.
other question out there.
He's a
Who
lawyer.
wrote this ordinance? And I mean, it's even alcohol testing, so unless somebody's drinking at the council meeting, then how does this work? And I don't care either. If it's voluntary, I don't need an ordinance. You can drug test me any day of the year if you want to. But, did you write this?
I didn't write that.
Okay, who wrote the ordinance?
Edward.
Okay, why did Edward write the ordinance?
I asked him to.
Okay, so why are we asking Edward to write the ordinance and then when
He's
our
busy.
city attorney has to?
He's busy.
Okay, so was he asked to
Is
write the
that
ordinance?
true?
I wasn't asked to write
You were not
it. I was
asked?
asked to review it once it was.
I asked him to do it,
He
yes.
asked me to review it once it was
Okay,
written.
so, here we are. Are we going to pass the drug testing ordinance or not? Yes or no? Is there a motion on the
Well,
floor
let me-
to? Go ahead.
Let me not have my say with respect to what I believe there's one serious legal flaw with respect to the ordinance, and that is a privacy concern, and it's a healthcare privacy concern. With respect to employees that are drug tested, we have the Sunshine Law that protects those records, and the Sunshine Law says that personally identifiable personnel records are not discoverable through the Sunshine Law. Those are closed records, they're sealed. If we find a positive test, that's private within the city, it's not recorded, it's not displayed outside the city. Those are things that are permanently closed, okay? It's something that's not ever disclosed. With respect to elected officials, they don't fall under that personally identifiable personnel record. Anything that is done with respect to this test would be a public record. So if a person were to come in and disclose that they had to take hydrocodone for chronic pain or something of that nature, that would become a public record, and everybody would know that that's the case. If someone were taking antidepressants, that would become a public record.
That's not necessarily the same position that other lawyers take, but anyway.
That's what it says
Is
on
it?
there.
What's that?
It's not necessarily the position that the lawyers would take. But anyway,
It's-
all right.
wait,
So
wait,
I'm
wait,
going to,
wait,
I'm going. Listen, I'm going to withdraw the ordinance from review for now.
And Mayor, the reason I asked the question, because I'm elected official, you said elected officials.
Yes,
not
sir.
just
Go ahead.
councilmen,
I know
okay?
that.
So you don't have to open your smart mouth like you did last time, okay? Not just
But you
saying.
could be appointed if they voted to.
Hang on.
Could I have a copy of that
Hear me?
ordinance? I didn't
You could be appointed though, couldn't you?
And so can you. You
Nuh-uh,
can
not
say-
appointed.
Whoa, hang on.
Not appointed, elected.
Hang on, hang on. and I know you've withdrawn the ordinance, but I do think that everybody, I hope, has read it. And I have the same concern Lawrence does, because even though you say that other attorneys don't have the same opinion he has, it very clearly says, once results of voluntary drug and alcohol testing have been reported by the medical review officer to the city, those results shall constitute an open public record, period.
Because there's no point in taking a drug test if it doesn't end up being public, except because if you're taking something that, you know, whatever, it could be a cancer drug, could be any other kind of drug for some kind of a chronic disease, something that you have, but if you're doing other things, then it's different. But anyway, but like I said, I did withdraw it.
He did, but the point is, if I'm tested and I'm taking an antidepressant, it still falls under public record, and I really don't want anybody to know that I might take antidepressants or hydrocodone or whatever.
I don't care either. I'll let y'all see my record.
It's ridiculous.
All right, your opinion noted. Okay, so anybody? All right, so now we're going to have a closed session, yes or no?
Yes.
And it is going to regard
Motion to go into closed session
for
litigation.
For litigation. Okay, that's it. All right.
And to discuss the closed session.
And the what?
Discuss the closed session minutes.
Okay.
I'll be right
Good.
And personnel.
I guess
No, we're
that's
not
all in
adding to
favor.
it. We've already made it started with vote.
He's asked for an appeal for the thing, and he delivered all of us.
If y'all want to open it up for personnel, you need to have the motion, to go into closed session for personnel too. And have it voted on.
We hadn't voted yet, have we?
You haven't voted on anything.
In the middle of it.
I just put down all in favor.
Well, no, that's not good
Huh?
enough. We need
I
to
know
vote.
it's your
meeting,
We need to vote.
Well, they're not paying attention. I
Put
put saying
Charles
their
and
name.
Steve and Luther on that committee.
Steve, how you
They've
doing?
got all these ideas and they've got all this enthusiasm for industry. Put them on that economic development committee.
Okay.
You know?
I understand. I got to turn this off.